Welcome everyone, Star Flag Media. My name is Anthony, and also UWA Avenger on most platforms and gaming devices. And I'm here with my good friend Chris,
aka Talents 860. But we got some,
aka Stop Doxing Me.
aka we got some pretty huge news, man.
Oh, news? You say?
Yeah, it's news to me, and it might be news to y'all, to our 30 viewers. It just so happens that
That's right.
my good friend Anthony
No,
is
not me.
now a part of the PC Master Race.
Oh, what?
Don't you bet not hell. You bet
I
not.
heard Master Race.
So you got a gaming PC.
I got a PC.
You have a stealth PC. Let's say that.
Yeah, it looks like it's. I went on a YouTube deep dive because I've got an older laptop that we record on, and it's been faithful to us, and doing its best for the last. I don't know what we've been doing this now for a few months. Let's say 8 months, something like that, 6-7 months, something like that. Anyway, and it's a great laptop and everything, but it's an older laptop, and when it comes down to rendering and making the videos that we're making and editing, it does it in real time after I'm done editing and everything, which means like if we record an hour show, it's going to take an hour for the laptop to render everything. So I've been looking online for something that has, a little bit more power, a little bit more speed, a little more RAM. And but I also didn't want to spend, $1,000 on a laptop. In today's market, that's almost like average. Like you got to spend $1,000 if you want anything that's going to last you a few years. So went on a little bit of a deep dive and started going on YouTube looking for something that would be budget friendly and also capable, And then YouTube was like, hey, Lenovo used to make these P520 ThinkStations for office equipment. And they're great for processing. They're great for multitasking. Like the CPU comes with 8 core threads just built in, which was extremely different for a CPU of that type. It's an Intel Xeon processor, which wasn't really on anything except for this device.
Yep.
So I'm looking into that, and I'm like, oh, upgradable up to 128 gigabytes of RAM. This sounds promising.
Yep.
So when I start looking at that, YouTube in all its glory and algorithms decides, guess what that P520 is also used for? Making a stealth budget gaming PC. So this thing that really wasn't designed for gaming has enough capabilities in there that if you stick a graphics card that's good enough, can pull off some like 1440p visuals, over 100 frames per second easily on just about every game that's currently out.
Okay.
It's capable of doing more on different games with less frames.
Yep.
But if you want to kind of like maximize your settings, 1440p is the sweet spot for it.
Yep.
So if you get yourself a nice 1440 budget screen, which now they go for 130 to 200 bucks for something decent for a 1440p screen monitor, you got yourself something that was originally on office computer, and go on eBay and get yourself a $150 used graphics card, and now you got yourself something that can run your favorite game of the moment, HellDivers 2.
What do you think?
So with that said, I played HellDivers 2 for the first time yesterday with my buddy here, Chris.
You
and
got
Cyclone.
the level 5 before we were done, I believe, right? You went from level 1 to
think
level
so.
5.
I think
and I didn't even know you were jumping online. I happened to join Cyclone's game, and I seen you there.
Yeah.
Because when I was in the menus, I seen Cyclone and his friend Jesus
Right.
in the lobby, and it said 2 of 4, and I joined, and then we were 4 of 4, and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. It was a nice little surprise for him, and it was also kind of double surprise for him because I wasn't on PSN. I wasn't on PlayStation Network. So it was like, oh, he's playing, but is he playing? How the hell is he playing? So it wasn't really.
Oh, that's what Cyclone said?
No, that's what I thought you were probably.
No.
You were probably like, how the hell is he? Oh, you didn't see me on PSN.
No. So this whole week in the group chat, you have been trolling that you were going to buy a PC or you were building a PC.
I was literally saying exactly what I was doing, and
so
nobody thought it was serious.
So I was inclined to believe that you were trolling, that you weren't telling the truth, and then Cyclone, who went along with it, unbeknownst to me, but he was kind of hinting that maybe you are actually doing it, and maybe that you are for real.
And Chris is like, "Yo, stop, nigga, he's trolling."
And what made me realize that you were playing on PC last night was because I'm like, I hate to be blunt, or I don't want to put bad info out there, so I'll say this.
Yeah,
I know you to be very conscious of your purchases,
frugal. I spend my money on trips and very rarely spend my money on physical things for my personal life.
Yeah, you don't really go too hard on your leisure.
No, not really. I'm pretty simple.
So
unless I'm out and about and we go
to
South America,
then
I'll ball out.
Yeah. So now in my head, I'm thinking, I'm like, I could see you buying the game, but I could see you buying the game for PlayStation
because it's only $40.
But I don't see you paying $60 or $70
PSN Plus
for and doing that in one whop. Okay,
for one game.
So I don't see that, and that's when I had my inclination, like maybe he did buy a PC.
Tell you what, though, Hell Let Loose might be on my radar now.
And I would get that. I told you I would get
Hell
that.
Let Loose might
I told you.
I don't know if it's cross-platform with PlayStation 5 though.
I think it is.
I don't think so. I think PC players. I don't think they can play with. I think it's cross-platform Xbox and PlayStation.
Nah, I don't think so.
We'll figure it out.
But I also gave you a bet for Hell Let Loose. I said if you buy it, I'll buy it. You did say
that, yeah. But it's neither here nor there. But yeah.
But I would hope Helldivers is good though.
It's great. It's Starship Troopers meets Gears of War meets. It's Helldivers in its own little way because it is a little bit different. It's a little bit like from the footage I've seen online. It's a little bit Terminator.
They got Terminators in.
So it's a little bit of everything. It's cool though. The premise is cool. It's objective based, team based. It's you against basically a galaxy of bugs and automatons, and it's your just objectives trying to conquer little bits of the planet. Your missions count towards everybody else's missions.
I like your review of it right now because the game didn't, for lack of better words, the game didn't grab you yet. Pause. So
I've only
because
played it one day.
You only played it one day. You didn't really unlock things. But next week I'm gonna ask you again, how's Helldivers? Because I would assume by then it would grab you. Well, pause, but it'll grab your attention. Pause.
In a different way.
Yeah, because so like when
I'm sold right now, I like it.
So when I first played last week, I hopped online and I was with Cyclone.
Mm-hmm.
I was level 1. Cyclone was level 13.
Right.
The next day, day 2, I'm level 5 to level 8. Cyclone is level 17.
Mm-hmm.
Day 3, I'm level 16. Cyclone's level 24.
Etc.
And then yesterday, Cyclone was like 40.
Yeah. And
I'm 24. And I'm like, wow, he just went hard. But I get it because it's pause. No, I don't get it. I don't get it. But it's a great game, and yeah, Cyclone probably has more than he's probably nearing 100 hours in Helldivers.
He's over 100 in. You can see his hours on Steam. He's over 100 hours in.
Look at him, PC Master Race. He's over 100 hours in. I can see it on Steam. Okay.
The good news is you can still use your PS5 controller. It maps itself immediately to the PS5 control scheme.
Well, you can get an Xbox controller now if you wanted to.
Yeah, you can play it with the Switch controller as well.
Ooh, imagine how that would...
It's pretty cool. It works fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and the best part is it seems to really take advantage of the HD rumble in a way that makes usually
Which one would you prefer?
So I think the PS5 controllers is specifically made for the game because it is a Sony game. So to bring up the map, for example, you touch the touchpad.
Yeah.
And you have to map it onto like either the home button or something else like the minus button perhaps on the Switch controller, and then you can move around with the analog stick.
Knowing you, I think one day you'll be bored and you'll map it to the Switch controller.
It's already mapped, but
okay.
Yeah, no, immediately mapped a bunch of games. I was playing Star Wars: The Old Republic with my Switch controller.
Okay.
And I like the Pro controller just because of the stick layout.
Yeah.
Over the PS5 stick layout, but I will say this: the HD Rumble is cool because it's a little bit more subtle.
Yeah.
And it rumbles in a different way than the Sony one does. But Sony's Rumble is stronger.
Okay.
So
it made from the same company.
Yeah, it's the game is made for the PS5 controller, no question about it.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that the Rumble is from the same company though.
Yeah, the game is made for the PS. It's just if you have a PS5 controller, by all means use it. If you have an Xbox or a Nintendo controller, you're not going to miss out. It's going to play great. You're still going to be able to.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the game is super fun. We did 3 missions yesterday. We completed 2 out of the 3.
Someone sandbagged the last mission.
Yeah, and then, but I like it. It's cool. We're gonna definitely be playing more of that coming up. Definitely this week. Yeah, a lot this weekend. I'll be on that. I downloaded Call of Duty on there as well, so I've got Warzone downloaded on there.
Okay.
So maybe we'll play a little bit of Warzone, and I'll also be going around the Steam store and checking out because they've got a bunch of deals and a bunch of older games on there for dirt cheap. So. Now that I've got something that runs games decently for less than a PlayStation 5, because I spent less on the PC overall, including the graphics card, than you would buy a console, and it does plus. It does everything the console does plus more.
All right, I'm gonna say cap.
No, it's not cap.
How much did you pay for your PS5?
So you gotta remember, I bought it off your friend. What did the PS5 cost when I bought it?
But how much did you pay?
That's not the point.
That's
not the point.
Was it more? $400. Was it more or less than retail price?
I paid less than retail price because I bought it off your friend. We'll just say that I bought it off his friend.
Brand new out the box.
It was brand new out the box, and the disk drive didn't work.
So, does it work now?
I don't know. I had to shake it upside down, and then for some reason it works.
All right, so
it didn't work for 8 months.
Okay. Either way,
and it's collecting dust right up there.
Yeah, but no, I'm happy for you because now there's games that don't release on the Switch.
That's true.
That we can now play together with.
Because I am primarily a Switch player. Yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, this is our last podcast on the old faithful laptop because I still haven't really programmed all the settings and everything for our studio over there and editing software. So
get ready for more videos, more cutaways, more flash.
I don't know about that.
More zing in the videos.
I don't know about any of that. I just wanted to process faster because I don't want to spend my whole Sundays video editing. And then putting things out at midnight because I decided to start at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Have you ever seen a video drop at 1 a.m.? It's because I started at 8 p.m.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. But it is what it is. Sometimes it'll be halfway.
Sometimes it'll be Monday morning.
It's usually in the never Monday morning, but Monday in the nighttime. Yeah. But it's because it takes forever on this thing. And it's always like dreadful for me to go, I gotta take care of this tonight. So, cheers to everyone out there who's joining us this week for Drunken Idiots. We want to do something a little bit different this week and talk about.
It wasn't a bunch of news this week. It was it's a lot of speculation going on out there.
A lot of rumors, but nothing. Even those rumors weren't really like. It's tough coming off of the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
that we had
we're not
crazy
gonna go crazy with
news
speculation.
PS5 news and Nintendo dropped their Nintendo Direct, and it was just so much going on in the last couple of weeks that this week was just kind of, it was quiet. So we're gonna do our a little bit of a different show as far as you know.
We're gonna do our drunk talk,
but we're gonna talk about our favorite games, or at least our top 5 games of all time. And this is a personal list. You guys will probably not agree with what games we are going to choose, and but it is our personal top 5. And please, by all means, leave your top 5 in the comments below.
Yeah, it's all subjective.
And we'll probably find out if you agree with any of the games on our list. Maybe, hey, leave your top 10. Maybe our top 5 each is your top 10. So we're gonna start off with Chris first, and then if you want to do one, we'll go back and forth.
Yeah, we could do back and forth.
Yeah,
one and one. So all right. So my top 5, and I'm just gonna stress this. It's no particular order.
Mine's isn't in order.
Okay, so mine's is not in order because subjectively,
and they're all very different games that you picked.
Subjectively, these games hit me differently, and
for different reasons,
for different reasons. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna start off by saying we all know that Nintendo is most of us gamers. It started off with the little gray box.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say Super Mario World. It came out on the Super Nintendo.
Great game. 1991.
I love it because I love everything. All the things I loved about Mario 3. It was a great game. I feel that Super Mario World did it a little bit better, especially with the colors. You had Yoshi, the secret worlds, the different endings, the music. Be able to technically fly consistently.
Great game. It's hard to hit on Mario World as a top 5.
I love Super Mario World, so I'll put that as.
I would say that was in my top 10. Doesn't crack my top 5, but that's a great choice for great reasons. My number 5 game of all time is also a Mario game. It is Super Mario 64. And for
64.
Yeah, I
graphics, 3D.
For very obvious reasons. We went from what he just described as probably one of the best platformers, 2D platformers of all time, to full 3D graphics for the first time. We had seen other games with 3D, but it wasn't
like that.
Like this. It almost felt, even though it wasn't, but it almost felt open world for the time, walking around Peach's castle. And you were, it was a very enclosed bubble, but it felt, like especially for the time, that you could go anywhere. You could go all over the
I don't disagree with that.
It just felt open world. And the platforming was on point. The controllers were on point. It made analog sticks. It was like you couldn't go back from analog sticks after that. Everything after that,
I agree.
You had to use
I agree. I don't disagree with what you're saying. But I will add on. I remember when I first played Mario 64, I remember after beating the first world, the first level, collecting whatever star you had to collect. When they introduced the flying cap, I would just go back to that level again, just to fly around.
It just felt like you could fly.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Yeah.
What a great game.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Your next game?
Number 2 for me. I started off with Nintendo. Now I got to bring it to Sega. And I'm going to say Sonic 2.
Great game.
And I'm going to bring it to Sonic 2 because as a sequel, I love Sonic. I love the first one. I ain't going to say I loved it. I liked it. I thought it was good. And I think Sonic 2 was just great. I think it's like a perfect sequel.
I loved it.
You mentioned that Sonic 1 was about, it was a platformer. But Sonic 2 was a roller coaster.
Absolutely.
And boy, oh boy.
Absolutely.
You could run so fast, you'll be off the screen, and the screen got to catch up. They introduced Super Sonic.
Just compare the first Green Hill Zone
to the
Sonic 1 to the one in Sonic 2, and when you first run through that first loop, it just like it's a roller coaster.
Yeah. The music for Sonic 2 was great. They gave you an incentive to get all the 7 Chaos Emeralds.
You can get them fast.
Super Sonic, you get them fast.
You can get them fast.
The music again, Chemical Hill Zone, the second world.
Yeah.
The Casino Zone.
Fuck that water level, by the way.
Yeah.
That main
the Chemical Zone. Yeah.
No, not Chemical Zone. The one that you're underwater with the spears.
I think that's Sonic 3.
No, I don't know. Is it Sonic 3?
I think it's Sonic 3 that you're thinking of.
Maybe. But
Sonic 2 was
great.
It was great. And then just to go off nostalgia, the rose tinted goggles. I never forget. My cousin came up from Mississippi, and he brought his Sega, and he brought a shoebox full of Genesis games, and he put Sonic 2 on. That was my first time I played it. Fell in love, and I got a Genesis after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After that.
Fantastic. Not so far. We got some bangers. My fourth all-time favorite game is back at Nintendo, and it is another Mario game, and it's going to be the blueprint for your number 5 pick. Even though it wasn't a particular order, your fifth game pick. Mine is Super Mario Brothers 3. And I've got a couple of years on you as far as age, so I remember Mario Brothers 3 came out, and it was so freaking huge that they made a 2-hour-long movie called The Wizard with Fred Savage, and it was basically a Super Mario Brothers 3 commercial. It was 2 hours of them playing Nintendo games, and
I heard about that.
It's basically a Mario Brothers 3 commercial, and holy crap! When this game first came out, there's
Fred
epic,
Savage, the boy from the Wonder Years.
Yeah, absolutely. In his prime, when he was doing the Wonder Years. So in all his glory back in the day. So this movie, and his little brother's in the movie too, Ben Savage from
Boy Meets World.
Mm-hmm.
The other goat.
Yeah, this movie, by the way, it's a great kids movie. It's basically the Tom Cruise movie with Rain Man. It's basically Rain Man. His brother's autistic, and they're gonna go play like in a Nintendo tournament, and they have to like hitchhike across the country to get him there, or something along those lines. Anyway, Mario Brothers 3 set the blueprint for Mario World and Yoshi's Island with the Oval World. Less Yoshi's Island, but more Mario World. It gave you these new power-ups, the raccoon suit. It's the first time Mario takes flight.
Yeah.
I don't know why a raccoon tail will make you fly, but god damn it did.
It was fun.
And
the frog suit.
And graphically, it was a huge jump
from Mario.
For Mario.
Yeah,
So it looked so much better than the previous Mario games that... and Yoshi was originally supposed to be in Mario 3, but because of graphical capabilities or the system's strengths, they decided to cut him out and include him later on. However, some hackers out there have gone and added Yoshi back into the game. So it is technically possible. Maybe Nintendo doesn't have the know-how back in 1988.
Maybe you could play that now, and maybe I could play that version now that you have a PC. Maybe my thoughts would change.
But yeah, number 4, Mario Bros. Mario Bros. Is that number 4? Yeah, that's my number 4. Mario Brothers 3.
Okay. So my third pick of my 5, again, it's no particular order. I'm gonna say Need for Speed Underground 2, and the emphasis on the Underground 2 because Need for Speed Underground was a great racing game.
And that changed the course for Need for Speed in general.
It did. It did change the course, but like what they did better.
Music was great.
The music was good. They added more detail. They added an open world for you to free roam, and you could drive to your races,
create your cars.
They had more customization, but as a racing game, I thought it could get no better than Burnout 2, but I think Need for Speed Underground 2. Well, Need for Speed Underground 2 for me was better. And
I agree.
And
it was just like what you've been making the case for the last 2
games. I think they
improved everything.
I think they peaked for me. Need for Speed Underground 2, because I bought the next one on the Wii, Most Wanted or whatever. It was good, but
great. It was good.
It didn't give me that feeling.
It wasn't as good.
But EA, if you make a remake, the Underground or Underground 2,
and don't be cheap, go license the music. It has to be the same game.
The music got to be the same?
Yeah, it has to be the same. You can't put in modern music. It's going to be these mumble rappers in there. I want to hear Lil Jon. Yo,
you cut the game on and the game does that?
It has to be.
All right, so yeah, you can't. All right, you're right. You can't fuck that up.
It has to be.
You when you cut the game on, you have to have that Lil Jon. You have to have that Lil Jon. You have to have that. As far as when you playing the games and you racing, you can do whatever you want, but
the game has to have that.
You gotta have that. You gotta have that.
I'll be damned.
You gotta have
that.
That.
Get you into like, shit, it's about to go
down. Yeah. You are correct.
All right. And the only reason I say that is because Sega did like Crazy Taxi on like mobile, and they couldn't license the soundtrack, and it wasn't Crazy Taxi.
Okay.
It just wasn't. All right. So my third game is going to be a hot take. For anybody out there who is a Legend of Zelda fan, you're probably going to say that the best Zelda game is either
Ocarina of Time
or Breath of the Wild. That's the debate now. Well, hot take. Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker.
That's the GameCube one, right?
The GameCube one.
I always
so
like
there's Twilight Princess on GameCube and Wind Waker. I'm going to go with Wind Waker, and this again is my personal choice. But Wind Waker was the first time I ever saw a game and said, "Holy crap! It's a Saturday morning cartoon, and I'm controlling it, and it looks exactly like what you would see in a cartoon." It didn't feel like a 3D game, even though it absolutely was.
Okay.
The first time that, because at that time, you guys got to remember, this is a console that came out in 2001, the GameCube, right? So facial expressions on 3D models were crap at that time.
Yep.
But on a cel-shaded cartoon character,
yep, it looked good.
All facial expressions, anything that was going on, fear, anger, excitement, happiness,
like it was
time to fight. It was like it was animated, and it was the first time you can see all of the emotions that a character was feeling, and it didn't feel like some kind of a dumb mock-up that you kind of just had to imagine it. You can see it for the first time. Wind Waker also just had, even though it was slow paced for the time, the HD remake for the Wii U improves on. If you ever get a chance to play one of these versions, get the HD remake, because the traveling in the ocean is done in real time, so it takes a long time to get from point A to point B. However, if you have the HD remake on GameCube, they cut the time in half. You can fast forward the traveling experience. But still, one of my favorite games of all time, my favorite Zelda game, and I've played all of them, and it's the only one that I've beaten from beginning to end.
Oh, that's good.
Multiple times.
Okay.
I played it more than once, and I've beaten it more than once.
Okay, that's good.
Number 2.
So my number 4, because again, it's not in order.
We're going 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yeah, because but Halo 2.
We played a lot of that game.
Halo 2.
I was so good at Capture the Flag.
Halo 2 really brought out my love for first-person shooters, and I remember playing with friends, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Time Splitters 2, and I really thought Time Splitters 2 was going to be the torch holder for like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark.
It was great.
It was
Time Splitters was great.
It was great, but Halo 2 really had me because at that time you know, I had a good collection of games. I had an Xbox, a GameCube. I had all. I started to value and hold on to my collection of games.
Right.
And Halo 2 was great in the house, and I would have, you know, friends and family come over, and you know, it was fun to play. But once I introduced the Ethernet cord to the back of that black Xbox,
OG,
now I'm online, and it just
different game.
That's what the meta for me just.
We played a lot of Halo 2 on 360.
Yeah.
When we were playing,
you did. I owned the 360 then.
Yeah, you were still on the OG Xbox, but that 360 was out. And what was I playing on my 360?
Xbox.
I was playing Halo 2. It's fantastic. We played so much Halo 2, so much, and we were really freaking good at it.
We were really good at Halo 2,
and not just because we're saying that. Because I am by today's standards, I am not a great gamer. Average at best on my best day, and below average on average. But
Sergeant America, if you're watching,
Halo 2, we were great.
I know you would agree with this. If the gaming space is what it is now, we could have went pro.
We would have had e-gaming and all that stuff back then. Yeah, it would have been.
We were nice. Not to be
back then. Only thing they really had was Evo for fighting games.
Yeah,
we were not on that level.
Yeah, not the yeah. I don't want to.
But for shooters, maybe. For Halo 2, perhaps.
Halo 2,
we had a pretty good squad.
We could have did something.
Absolutely. So that was your number 2.
That was my number 4.
Yeah.
Well, number 2.
Yeah.
In your case.
So my number
2
favorite game of all time is, and this was hard for me because I want to almost split it between 2 games, but I'm gonna give the edge.
We'll leave one for what's the
honorable
trophy?
mention.
Honorable mention. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give this the game that I was gonna split this with is my honorable mention. I have to go with WWF No Mercy for the Nintendo 64.
Okay.
WWF No Mercy, and this is gonna go to your point of views with your previous games, and most of the games on your list so far, is the perfection of the previous games that were already perfect.
Yep.
Because it took every N64, and there was a couple of PS1 games like WCW versus the World Tour that kicked it all off, and then WCW
NWO versus
Revenge.
Yeah.
And then came WWF WrestleMania
60
X8.
Yeah,
X8, and then
to 2000.
WrestleMania 2000. Yeah, WrestleMania 2000. WWF WrestleMania 2000. And then came No Mercy. No Mercy was the peak. And it came out at a time where the roster was just gigantic. So if you were a wrestling fan in the late 90s, early 2000s, you had the Dudley Boys, you had Kane and The Undertaker in their prime, with all of Undertaker's suits, including the face mask suit. You had unlockables like Paul Bearer, Vince McMahon, and who was the last boss? Andre the freaking Giant.
Yeah,
they made Andre the freaking Giant the boss of the game. That's your last mission. The GOAT of all big men. Oh my God. Anyway, you could go backstage. You could do things that even though you had the SmackDown series on PlayStation and all that, the mechanics, the gameplay, the roster, the amount of stuff. I remember
the gameplay was good because I remember playing the SmackDown game on PlayStation and
great games, but they were more arcadey.
Yeah, yeah.
And for some reason, this felt
like Super Nintendo.
Yeah, the PlayStation. These felt more like simulations.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give one last thing before I go over to your last game, and this was a triple threat match. And we were playing it right in this very room where I live in now. We had a TV on that side over there. And there was my 3 cousins in a triple threat match, and I was the special referee because you could pick the referee. You could play as the ref. And I was Earl Hebner, of course. And
Earl Hebner.
Let me just say what happened. So here I am effing around for. It was like a good 30-minute match, by the way. We were just effing around. The characters were getting knocked out, and I just looked the other way, like I didn't see what happened. And because you could do that in that game. So finally, I decide I'm going to call the match. I'm going to call the match. And I'm going to decide who wins this match. And I forget who it was, the finisher and all that. But I'm going to finish this match now. So I do 1.
Ooh.
And I wait. And I go 2. And I wait. And usually I was letting these cats kick out. And they're screaming at me like, come on, just finish it. And finally, I hit the button for 3. And as he went to go smack the mat, his hand, the character's kicked out. And there's this animation we had, and we've been playing the game for years at this point. But we saw the animation we hadn't seen. Earl kicks his hand up from the mat, he points up at the air, and says, 2. All 4 of us got up and screamed as if it was
real.
The end of the, like, we had... we couldn't freaking believe it, because the game, it's so hard to get it to do that on its own, like because usually you finish a character and that's it. And this is in years. We'd been playing the game for years at that point, and we see this new animation that was just kind of tucked away, just in there, and my number 2 game.
Nah, that's a good choice. I think as far as wrestling games, I think
goated. No wrestling game ever has been that good. Some people will argue SmackDown 2005. I disagree. I disagree.
Game that also built off that.
Yeah, well, they're those games are based off of the New Japan games.
Yeah, it played a little bit faster.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing.
No, yeah. We're talking about the games we played growing up. In the U.S.
I played that Japanese game, though.
Yeah.
So boom. For number 5 for me, Black Ops 2. Now,
fantastic.
It could be a hot take, like what you said with your wrestling game.
I've seen that split between Modern Warfare 2. It's kind of like the back and forth online, so it's a very good debate going on right now.
So like, I get it. I love Modern Warfare 2.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was great, and it was great.
Yep.
It could not get no better.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Black Ops. Wow. Black Ops was great. It couldn't get no better. And then we got Modern Warfare 3, which was good. It wasn't Black Ops 1. And then Black Ops 2 came out. And
I think we got bad audio.
When Black Ops 2 came out, this was, so I started my first Call of Duty game on Modern Warfare, right? The original one. But online, the game that we all played World at War. WAW. So you skip a couple games, or not even skip, because we played Modern Warfare 2 and we played Black Ops, whatever. But Modern Warfare Black Ops 2 was Call of Duty Black Ops 2 was the first game for me. So we don't know when to stop. So when it comes to Modern Warfare Call of Duty games, Modern Black Ops 2 is my GOAT, because I never forget, it was the first game that I played when I lived in Georgia, and I hopped online. Listen, all right. So now I'm drunk, but this is what we about. So I'm drunk, and I'm drunk.
Sorry about that, guys. Our audio is gonna be messed up for like a good, I don't know how long it took me to notice that. I apologize. That's my fault.
And All right, so I'll just restart.
No,
Because you're going to edit this shit anyway.
Finish it. I'm not going to edit it. It's
okay, so we're not going to edit
it. Our last podcast on this computer.
So
it keeps cutting in and out. It knows I bought a new PC.
She said, "Bitch, you cheating on me."
Yeah.
So with Black Ops 2, that was the first Call of Duty game that I got on and played the first online match, and I was dominating from beginning to end. My KD was definitely over 2. Brand new maps, all that stuff. Theater mode. It took everything that I loved about the COD franchise, and it was perfect. It did not get no better than that. I think that's where that franchise peaked. It's Black Ops 2. We could all argue about what was the best Call of Duty game.
I'll be damned if Black Ops 3 wasn't great.
But we could all argue. Great. Yeah, we could all argue over who what's the best Call of Duty game. But excuse me.
But that's what did it for you.
But we can all it's not about that. But we can all agree that it peaked at Black Ops 2.
I mean, it's hard to argue it. Unless you were into the more futuristic Black Ops 3 style, but that was a whole different type of game.
That came out before Black Ops 2, I believe.
How did 3 come out before 2?
Modern Warfare 3 came out before.
Black Ops 3.
Oh, I didn't like Black Ops 3. Okay.
I did like Black Ops 3.
But
it was a whole different type of game.
I liked it. No,
arguably it's a different Call of Duty.
They did it the best of the jetpack and wall running shooters.
I would say it was the most fun out of that generation when it came to stuff like that, for sure. Treyarch had a hold on the business back then, and they were showing Infinity Ward how to make greater versions of their own engine.
Their own game.
Yep, I agree. If I had to pick a personal favorite, and it's only because of nostalgia, not because it was that great, but I'm going to go with World at War because of that. But that was because of all the fun that we all had together. Yeah, playing World at War, and it was our first real experience of holy crap, this online gameplay with Call of Duty is going to be something special.
Yep.
But that's just my own nostalgia.
Yeah,
not really the game being better, but it was great. And by the way, you could play in tanks in World at War. People forget that. People forget that.
You could play in tanks.
People forget that, but you could get in tanks.
You could get in tanks and
came later.
Yeah, now. But that was a feature that was lost that they brought back, and now
people forgot that it was in World at War.
Yeah,
I remember one time you said, "Modern Warfare 2." You were like, "Oh, one of my favorite levels is Dome," and in my brain, the only Dome I remember was the one from World at War. It was like Dome from World at War, and you were like, "No, Dome with."
Oh yeah, Dome from Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah. Modern Warfare 3, right? And my brain was like, the only Dome I remember was Dome from World at War.
Yeah.
Also called Dome. Anyway, great choices, man. Your list was eclectic. It was very different. I feel like
what's your honorable mention?
Well, I haven't gotten to my number 1 favorite game.
Oh, okay.
My number 1 all time. What does Chris think my favorite game of all time is? I've said it before to him. I don't know if he'll remember, but this is
Mario 3.
No, I already put that in our list. It was like a number 4 or 5. Oh, number 4 or 3.
Number
4.
I don't know. GoldenEye?
Yeah. So no.
Perfect Dark.
No. So even though there was a couple N64 games in there for me, my favorite game of all time was made by Sega.
Oh. Okay.
And it was made on the Dreamcast.
Oh, Sonic Adventure.
Definitely not. And
Crazy Taxi.
Definitely not.
I don't know.
He's so stupid, yo.
I don't know. What the fuck you mean?
Once you hear, you're gonna be like, it's Shenmue.
Oh yeah, fuck you. Okay, all right.
Holy crap, Shenmue 1 and 2, and I'm gonna book those together because it's literally the same exact game, and it was just they only really called it part 2, but there was no difference in gameplay other than hey, it's a new storyline or the continuation of the storyline. But Shenmue 1, I'm gonna say why it was influential to me as a gamer. It really was an open world game before GTA. even though it felt very linear in the way that you can't go to certain areas until you beat these missions. But so is GTA 3, right? And they consider that an open world game. So let's call it a sandbox game. It was a sandbox game, but it was a sandbox game before that was a real thing. Dreamcast was probably it's the little engine that could, right? On hindsight, one of the GOATs. The catalog had something like 200 games, and out of those 200 games, to say 150 of them were fantastic, what other system can you say that 75% of the games weren't shovelware?
I can't say.
It's a hard press to look for that. Dreamcast had stellar first-party titles, stellar every third-party game that came out on it that was on both PlayStation and N64 at the time. The Dreamcast version was far and above better in all respects of the term: graphics, gameplay, expansions, the whole nine. But Shenmue, to get back to my point, had the story, and I think I played that game a few times, but I sunk so many hours into that game that I feel an emotional attachment to the story.
Okay.
So Part 2 came out originally on the Dreamcast in UK and Japan. We had to wait for it on Xbox. It was the reason I bought an Xbox.
Wow.
I went to GameStop and I said, I'm going to purchase an Xbox. And they were like, awesome. The only reason I purchased the Xbox was because the bundle was Sega GT 2002 and Jet Set Radio Future came with the Xbox. So immediately I get 2 Dreamcast sequels.
Okay.
And what's the third game that I buy with it? Shenmue 2. The guy at GameStop's like, you're not going to get Halo? I was like, fuck no. I don't fucking want that. What the fuck is Halo? Yep. I didn't know yet, guys. And I knew it was out. I knew it was the game to get for Xbox. But Xbox was brand new. It was the new kid on the block at the time.
That's when Xbox wrote only on, or...
Yeah.
Only on Xbox.
Only on Xbox, yeah. Big green. And Sega, at the time, was trying to convince, before the Xbox came out, they actually wanted the Xbox to read Sega Dreamcast games because the architecture was very, very similar. In fact, Microsoft ran Windows NX or something like that on the Dreamcast. So you can actually port games very easily from the Microsoft system over to Sega. Anyway, I have a conspiracy theory about that. We can talk about that in a different podcast. That's a whole other... I got gaming conspiracies we could talk about. It's going to be real fun. But... And if we get drunk, it'll be funner. But Shenmue, I have an emotional attachment to it because the game finished on a cliffhanger. And the reason I purchased a PlayStation 4 was because they announced Shenmue 3.
I remember that.
And I bought the PlayStation 4 and I had to wait.
I never forget. I believe it was the day it dropped or the day it announced. And we was leaving work and
I waited 4 years.
I was like, yo, what's that game that you about to get? And you said Shenmue 3. And then my roommate at the time, Romaine, I hate to give him title roommate. He's more like my brother.
Right.
Or another best friend. But
yeah.
Romaine shot up and said Shenmue 3. And y'all nerded the fuck out over Shenmue. And y'all was going back and forth about the story. And I was just like, I never heard of this fucking game.
Whew.
But
you didn't see the passion that we had?
The passion was real. I was like...
because
okay.
It was the first time I experienced a story that felt like cinema, but you played through it.
Yeah.
And it left on a cliffhanger. And Shenmue 3, Chris, was 20 years later.
Yep.
20 years I waited for a sequel.
Yep.
And when it finally... I bought a PS4 when they announced it, and it took 4 years to develop. So I had a PS4 for 4 years before the game even dropped. But I wanted the PS4 because I didn't know when the game was going to drop.
Yep.
It was the most successful Kickstarter campaign ever.
Yep.
The game comes out, and it doesn't live up to the first two.
Shit.
It doesn't live up to the first two. The story is there.
Yeah.
But the game, not as great.
Okay.
And here's the bad part about that is it finishes off on another cliffhanger, and we don't think we're going to get the ending of this story.
Okay.
But that's my favorite game.
So now honorable mentions.
Do you have one?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do.
So let me do mine first because it's kind of obvious now that I said No Mercy.
Yeah.
My honorable mention would have to be WCW versus NWO Revenge. And only because it's the same game with a different roster.
Yep.
There is a bug.
But Mercy did it better. No Mercy did it better.
It's the same exact game.
But it did it a little bit better.
I don't think so. There's very few differences between the two. And I'll say, and maybe it's because this is nostalgia again. Nostalgia. Okay. Because we pumped just as many hours into Revenge as we did No Mercy. The only thing, I'll say that the only thing No Mercy did better was the backstage. Where there wasn't any backstage in Revenge, No Mercy did have some backstage parts where you could throw somebody backstage and fight backstage. That was definitely an improvement. But it was already towards the end of the N64's life. And I don't know how much more they could have pushed out of that system.
But they pumped out some more.
The roster was bigger.
For No Mercy, they pumped it out.
It was...
Pause.
That's why I gave it the edge. It was overall the slightly better game. Now, with that said, WCW Revenge in the peak of the Monday Night Wars, because No Mercy came out right after WCW kind of caved.
Okay.
WCW had the superior roster at that time.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So WCW had Nash, the NWO, Hall, Hogan. They had the WCW guys, the Four Horsemen. They had a bunch of ECW guys who had jumped ship. They had the Cruiserweights. Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko. And then they had the ECW guys like Raven in there. It was the superior roster.
Yeah.
Again, 54 plus guys. They had a lot of Japanese wrestlers in there.
I agree. I agree with you. I
great honorable mention.
WCW NWO versus WCW Revenge.
Great game.
They had the better roster. Period. But the gameplay for
that's why I say it's so close. The gameplay was the same.
It was the same game.
But
the
No Mercy gets the edge because
they had the better roster. But
No Mercy gets the edge because it was better animations.
But you could create your own character. You could create those guys.
Kind of. No, not really. So go back and play those games. You think so.
Okay.
You think so, but that's your imagination playing tricks on you. You can absolutely only pick the parts that were already in the game and color swap them.
Yeah.
So you pick the guy that kind of sort of looked like the guy you want to make.
Okay.
But the creator wrestler in No Mercy was trash.
It was better.
No, it was trash.
It was trash compared to
it was ass. They were ass. Those games did not have good creator wrestler. Go back. I challenge you. Go back. You can only pick the faces that were already in the game. Okay. So to create your own character, you had to pick a guy who kind of looked like Triple H.
My history. So I'm not.
Anyway, honorable mention. Yeah,
I'm not.
These are not. That's why it's not in my top. That's why I picked No Mercy over it.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree.
Yeah, but honorable mention.
They both were great.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but I remember.
I'm going to confess something to the boys right now.
What's that?
Jason. There was a glitch in WCW Revenge that I never told them about.
Okay.
If they were pinning you, and if you waited for the 2.5 count, and this, I don't know if this was just me, guys.
In the log stick?
You flick the stick and you kick out every single time.
Jason, if you don't know that by now.
Well, they didn't know it back then.
I knew that shit.
They didn't know that back then.
Wow.
I used to cheat. They had to knock my ass out to win. You had to knock me out to win.
Wow.
You had to knock me out to win.
Wow. So I'm going to build on that. I'm going to build on that because...
They fixed that bug, by the way, in the later games.
I'm going to build on that because I knew about that in Revenge.
You knew.
And the only way... So, 4-player co-op.
Yeah.
The only way to win was knockout.
You gotta knock him out.
So we used to call it crumbs because, you punch a nigga in the jaw, you break their jaw turn to crumbs.
Okay.
But in Revenge, they would do a little animation and they would go,
yeah.
and we would say crumbs.
Oh, so good. So good.
So
good. So many hours.
Yeah. So
what a great roster.
We learned to.
And when you see the opening scene and the truckers coming with the big truck and it's staying with the lightning.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Oh,
I don't remember that.
Watch it down here.
So I will say that
the opening intro was hilarious.
I will say with Revenge and No Mercy.
No Mercy's the better game, but it's close.
Excuse me. I could be remembering this wrong, but we had a custom character that I believe debuted in Revenge, and his name was. You'd probably correct me, but even though you would correct me, his name was Akiman.
Oh yeah, he was in Revenge. He was in the game before that though.
So
Akiman and THQ Man were in there. It was a color swap.
Yep.
And those were the developers, AKI and
THQ. So Akiman was
fantastic.
Akiman was the GOAT.
He was great.
And he was cheating.
Oh yeah.
And we made Akiman in cool. No Mercy. We made him in WrestleMania 2000. He was the perpetual character that
couldn't beat or everybody picked.
We couldn't pick, but we always made.
Okay. Because he wasn't really in there after that, was he?
Nah.
No, he was in Revenge, and that was it.
And when you got the AEW game.
AEW.
And I was kind of hoping to see. He
wasn't in there.
And yeah.
AEW. Let me tell you about we're getting a little bit off base now, but AEW missed the mark on this game. They could have been. They had the this close to taking the crown. And they have the gameplay down.
Yeah.
Because it's great. They have the roster down because they've got every AEW guy ever. Plus the dudes that left. So guess what? CM Punk is still in the game, even though he had already left. Cody Rhodes is in the game, even though he already left. So they've got the roster. And yet they have fucked up their creator wrestler to the point that you can't make anybody.
Yep.
So it's not fun.
Okay.
Like if they would have just included parts for the paint, the face paint, you could you don't have to make the whole thing. Let us do it. Make half the mask here, half the mask a different option, and let me make the Legion of Doom. Okay. Let me make them, guys. They're the best. Anyway, they missed the mark, and they're this close, and they fucking missed the mark.
So my honorable mention,
AEW. I'm so mad I bought that game.
My honorable mention.
Yeah, your honorable mention.
As much as I wanted to say Smash Brothers 64.
Great, underrated freaking game. Because Melee, obviously Melee. But Smash 64 is so underrated because Melee came out the year after.
As much as I want to say it.
Great game.
Make your head explode. Pause.
Or don't
I'm going to give it to the variation because I don't know it. The variation of Super Street Fighter 2 on the Panasonic 3DO was introduced to Akuma
Turbo, I think,
and specials.
Yeah.
I remember my brother's friends used to troll me
on the 3DO
and say, "Yo, if you beat the game perfectly on your Super Nintendo, Akuma will come out and you can unlock Akuma."
Because you've seen him on the 3DO version. How old were you? You were a kid.
And you can do your specials on the Super Nintendo version after you beat.
Big bros are jerks.
After you beat Akuma.
That's hilarious, by the way. That meme you sent with Luigi and Mario.
Oh yeah, that was funny. But I was told after you beat Akuma on your Super Nintendo version of the 3DO version, you can start doing specials. But that Street Fighter version, I don't know what it is.
Man, one of the rare times that you could look at a 3DO game and go, that's the better version.
Wow, yeah.
And it really is. 3DO had like 3 or 4 gems in it that really weren't duplicated anywhere else.
I always loved Street Fighter.
Great game.
But to get killed with a finisher for the first time.
This close to adding Super Street Fighter 2, the one that came out on Switch.
Okay. HD remix.
No, the new one.
HD Turbo remix.
No.
Whatever version. So it's still Super Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I got beat my first time playing that. Pause. And
Ultra.
I got beat with a special, and the screen turned yellow and red, and it flashed. And Ken didn't just beat me with an uppercut; he hit me with an uppercut, and then another uppercut, and then a third uppercut. It went from low to medium to high. The screen flashed red, and I was just like, "Oh my god!
What was that?
What was that?"
Yeah,
and for a fighting game, that just triggered me to go, I gotta play this. I gotta have this. That turned into Street Fighter Alpha. And it also turned into Dragon Ball Z.
If this was a show where we had a top 10 list, Street Fighter 2, I think, would make both of our lists without a question. Because there is no greater example of a game that changed the industry when it came to fighting games. That game, let's just say the half circle to punch, that Hadouken, is probably the blueprint for every fighting game ever in the history of ever, and including Guilty Gear, Mortal Kombat, anything you want to talk about, you can take it right back to Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, because Mortal Kombat they went different, and then they brought it back. But it's years later.
Yep.
But still, it came back.
And so Street Fighter 2 probably, arguably, the most influential fighting game of all time. We don't have,
I agree.
Yeah, and we don't have
influential.
Too much more time.
I didn't say the best, but most influential. Yeah, I agree.
So that was really what my pick, except for No Mercy, were really what set the building blocks. If you want to think about it, and your games were like
they were all sequels.
Your games were more like what perfected what I put on. You like Mario World, I like Mario 3.
Yep.
Just an example. But like my honorable mention is Revenge, but my actual pick was No Mercy.
Yep.
I had a couple of hard picks in here. Like if we did a top 10 list someday, it's hard not to include GoldenEye or most influential first-person shooter ever.
I wouldn't disagree.
Hard to argue, right? Mario Kart 64 for probably the best racing game ever.
Exactly. Like if you would, so
it's hard. It's hard to argue some of those games.
I agree. So for example, most influential, right? You would say GoldenEye.
Yeah. Perfect Dark took that formula, made it better, and then from there, Time Splitters.
I thought Time Splitters was the perfection.
Right, yeah. It's a Perfect Dark and then Time Splitters, and you look at...
Yeah.
But what was the first console game that did it? GoldenEye. Yeah. So, we're an hour into our show, which is perfect. Want to thank everybody out there.
Perfect for old Betsy. Betsy, we love you.
Thank you for all your years of service. I've had this laptop for going on 8 years, so it's an older laptop, and I'm still going to have it around. I'm going to recase it because it's got a lot of crashes and burns, and I've dropped it so many freaking times. I've taken it to so many countries.
That's your baby.
That's my baby. I'm going to upgrade it to RAM. I'm going to put a new, fresh RAM in there.
You hear that, baby? Don't get.
It's not over for you, baby.
Yeah, it's not over.
We're not done. We got a lot of porn to watch.
Wow.
Join me on Chatterbait. Anyway.
That's new. I never heard of that. I have to check them out.
Yeah, check us out.
I'm not going to
check our channel out.
I'm not going to check y'all out. I might check Chatterbait out.
Check our channel out. We're on there. Pause. Thank you guys for joining us at Star Flag Media. Hey, we got a Spanish channel too. Yeah, make sure to check us out at Star Flag Media en Español. My good friend Chris is out there as well, and he does his damn best to put out some content and dances for you guys. And hell, he even got some good opinions, and sometimes it'll be in Spanish as well. So if you guys want to go check him out, speaking in Spanish with a French accent, Star Flag Media en Español.
Me español es muy malo.
Oh, pero, qué rico!
Pero.
Well, let's wrap it up. It's all right. Yeah. Star Flag Media, guys. Thanks for joining us. We are the Drunken Idiots. Check us out on our platforms. Talents 860 on YouTube. You can also see them as UWA Talents 1. And check them out on PlayStation. Soon to be on PC Master Race.
Soon.
And
heard it here first.
I believe it. And so UWA Talents, and I am UWA Avenger on all platforms. Check me out on Steam. Add me on Steam.
Add me on Steam. PC Master Race. Fuck you.
PC Master Race. And as always, leave your top 5 list in the comments below. I would love to know what it is and why.
Yes, and me too.
Yeah,
I'm
Jason,
in the comment section.
Jason, I know you're out there. Leave your top 5, man. I want to hear what you have to think. And if you hate one of our picks, tell us why as well. Share
Just
the video.
Don't call me an N-word.
Or do. That'll be funny. YouTube will love that. I'm sure your account will last a long time. But leave your comments, subscribe, and share the video.
Deuces, guys.
Take it easy.